Greetings, welcome to my video on Loki, where Mischief Lies, the book I chose to read for my English class. I would say that the book is in the mystery and fantasy genres, as the book explores the 9 realms: Asgard, Midgard, also known as Earth, Jotunheim, Svartalfheim, Vanaheim, Nidavellir, Nilfheim, Muspelheim, and Alfheim. It has a lot of magic in it, and obviously we have Loki, Odin, Thor, Frigga, etc., who come from Asgard and are considered gods on Earth. And at the same time, Loki is sent to Midgard as an assignment when Asgardian magic is detected in relation to a string of mysterious murders in 19th century London, essentially acting like a detective. The main character is obviously Loki, and although the book does have other important characters such as Amora or the Sharp Society gang, the story is told from Loki's perspective. First, we need to separate comic book Loki, or as I call him, Buff Rat in Spandex, from the MCU Loki portrayed by Tom Hiddleston. They belong in different universes and therefore are separate characters, and yes, the book is supposedly canon to the MCU, so the Loki that we see in the book is the Loki we see in the movies. Now onto his character. Loki was found by Odin, king of Asgard, on Jotunheim after a battle with the Frost Giants. Described as being particularly small and frail compared to the Frost Giant's offspring, Odin takes pity on him and adopts him, disguising him as an Asgardian. Loki is not aware of this fact until much later in his adulthood. As a child, Loki always felt like he was in his older brother Thor's shadow, as he wasn't as skilled of a warrior and was often misunderstood as being scheming or slimy due to his intellect and overall preference to be more calculating and cunning, which isn't common among Asgardian soldiers, and therefore Thor was the preferred sibling by almost everyone. Frigga, his mother, was the only one who accepted Loki for who he was, and she truly loved and cared for him. And in the movies, it is strongly implied that Frigga teaches him everything that came to Asgardian magic from the start, since she is also a sorceress. However, this slightly changes in the book. Instead, Loki always had magic inside of him, and in his adolescence meets Amora, who teaches him how to utilize it. And after her banishment, Frigga only teaches him to control it and manage it better. Loki is also conflicted by the fact that after Odin retires, he will have to choose an heir, which would have to be either Thor or Loki, and Loki knows that Odin's first choice would be Thor. But Loki deems Thor unfit for the throne and desperately tries to prove himself by studying a lot and trying to go on assignments. But this does not work, as somehow Thor always gets away with his own mistakes, and due to Odin's favoritism, Loki is largely overlooked. And the events of the book only worsen that. Loki isn't my favourite character due to the reasons you might think. Loki has always been a much more interesting character than Thor in my opinion, and as he has perfectly balanced flaws and strengths in his personality, and just has a much more interesting character arc. Plus, I find him to be a lot more relatable than the blonde hunk that is his brother. Also, Loki is a very complicated and layered character, and is often mistaken by many people to be a pure villain, which he really isn't if you pay more attention. I personally think he's the best written character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yes, better than Tony Stark, Steve Rogers, or Natasha Romanoff, or any of the others, therefore being my favourite character, because of those reasons. Now that was your introduction to Loki. I hope it wasn't too disorganised. The book is predominantly set in Asgard and 19th century London. Asgard is one of the 9 realms, a small planetary body that serves as a home to the Asgardians. It is a very stunning and rich place, the highlight of Asgard obviously being the palace which is home to Loki's family. Asgard is also an important place for many reasons, but some of the primary ones being that Yggdrasil, the world's tree, is located on it. It contains many artifacts, such as formerly the Casket of Ancient Winters and the Tesseract. London in the book pales in comparison to Asgard, as described by Loki. You can picture it as how 19th century London is depicted most of the time in media. A dark, gloomy sewage of a place, with a lot of poverty and sickness. Some of the locations that Loki visits include the British Museum, which he is not impressed by, Sharp's headquarters, which is disguised as an antiquity shop squished between two buildings in an alley, Southwark, which is a place located near a rancid river which displays the corpses of the murdered people in public, calling them the living dead since they do not look as if they're dead and don't show any signs of decay. It is also the place where they pile up all the corpses. Beautiful, innit? The book is really exceeding my expectations, especially after I read another Marvel book, Black Widow Forever Red, and after I read the reviews, which many said that the book has LGBT representation in it, which it doesn't, and also many people were saying that the book gets quite uninteresting in the second half, but I'm still reading it and I'm still interested in it, so I don't know. There are many things that I am quite liking about this book. I'm really enjoying the lore that the book provides, which the movies are just not able to expand on. And not only does it expand on Asgardian lore, it expands the lore of other places and realms such as Alfheim, a realm that has yet to be featured in a Marvel movie, introducing us to the Ice Elves and Nornheim, a province in Asgard, which I also believe hasn't been mentioned on it in the movies either. The writing and dialogue is excellent, and I especially like the humor and the way Loki is written. Also, it is really worth to mention the way the locations are described. Mackenzie Lee did a perfect job describing the locations in detail so you can perfectly picture them, but not over-describing them until the details just become confusing, something that the previous book I read didn't do well. I also like the way how Mackenzie Lee wrote the adolescent characters like Loki, Amora, and Thor. Each character has a separate and unique personality and are portrayed and treated like actual humans, unlike what many forms of media do, typically making teens pure teenage stereotypes. And as many people know, I absolutely despise stereotypes as they can harm people, undervaluing them. The attention to detail is also very nice. The author does not forget that Loki is a frost giant, something that even the films did until 2017, when they hint at it in Thor Ragnarok in Loki's theatre play. A perfect example of this being when Thor and Loki arrive at the Ice Elves' palace, while Thor is shivering like mad even under a big fur coat. Loki is perfectly fine as the cold doesn't affect him. I also like hints at future events such as Ragnarok and the army of living dead. Loki turning out to be a frost giant also could be included in this thingy. I would also like to mention some things that I didn't like about the book, but they are a very few, and since I think in the book review the negative aspects should be included with the positive ones. Well, I'm kind of disappointed that the book didn't touch on Loki's and Frigga's relationship, instead undermining it even more. In the movie, it is very much implied that Loki is very close to his mother, as I said before, and that she very much cares for him. And it was a shame that they didn't interact a lot, and also that one of Frigga's roles in his life were instead replaced by Amora's. I'm referring to the fact that Amora teaches Loki how to utilize his magic instead of Frigga. Frigga only teaches him how to manage it. Frigga only teaches him to manage it better. Mackenzie Lee also makes up some lore out of nowhere, which directly clashes with lore from the movies. A great example of this being the book telling us what happens with magic on Earth, and it doesn't make much and it doesn't make much sense. The book tells us that there's no magic on Midgard, and that magic there slowly fades along with the wielder. However, when Loki comes to Midgard, his magic isn't as strong as on Asgard, and it's as if he's on reserves instead of pulling it out from the air. But at the same time, in the movies, we see clearly that Loki has absolutely no issues with it, and also did the author completely forget about Doctor Strange and all of the masters of the mystic arts that have existed on Earth for quite a long time? Because they all seem to have used magic without any problems. So, yeah, this part of the lore does not make much sense. And that's all I really have to say. I hope you enjoyed my project on Loki, where Mischief Lies. Farewell.
I got a feeling called the blues, oh Lord, since my baby said goodbye. Lord, I don't know what'll do. All I do is sit and sigh. Oh Lord, that last long day she said goodbye. Well, Lord, I thought I would cry. She'll do me, she'll do you. She's got that kind of loving. Lord, I love to hear her when she calls me sweet. Hit the